what is Vipassana meditation?
Vipassana meditation is a form of meditation that encourages people to journey with themselves, to see things as they are, and to discover that they are the cause of their own happiness or their suffering. To kind of discover that at a experiential level, not because somebody told you so, not because a guru told you, not because you need to see something. No, it's realize you are the key to making yourself happy or unhappy. And while that sounds quite obvious, people kind of go, yeah, duh. But it's different at an experiential level. You start realizing it literally on a bodily experiential level as you meditate. So it's a 10-day retreat where you go to one of the Vipassana centers. No reading, no writing, no talking. You're cut off from the rest of the world. They take care of you. They feed you. They give you a place to sleep. And you learn the technique. And you have to complete 10 days. And the best part, there's no charges to it. There's nothing. Zero. At the end of 10 days, and only if you complete 10 days, if you want to give something, you can anonymously put something in the box. Nobody's going to ask how much you put, what you put. You don't even have to put anything. So people end up donating. So the first kind of, it breaks down your ego, because the first thing you're doing is you're sitting on somebody else's donation. You're equal to the pauper who's sitting next to you, who may not have a penny to their name, and you might be a millionaire, but it breaks your ego. It kind of tells you, listen, we're all the equal. It's not a physical form. It's a mental journey. It's what a lot of us these days have started calling mindfulness. A lot of its roots are into Vipassana. What we see is modern day meditation. Lots of roots into Vipassana. Some great stuff being done there.
Does that set it apart from these other forms of meditation? There are so many out there these days. There's transcendental, for example. So what tenets of Vipassana then do you feel set it apart from the others?
I think Vipassana is the big tenet that sets it apart is it is experiential, i.e. a lot of students get attracted and a lot of youngsters get attracted to Vipassana because they kind of go, I'm not believing it because somebody told me so. It's not about seeing something that's not there. What it gets you to a point where you realize your thoughts are affecting you at a bodily level. And you realize that in 10 days, as you're having negative thoughts, there are certain small little pricks, pins that are happening across your body. You're starting to realize, I physically start feeling worse when I am having these negative thoughts, when I'm doing this stuff, and I physically start improving as I start being positive. And whether it's positive or negative, if I just watch it, if I just observe that moment, the nature of every moment is it arises and passes away. And so you don't just believe that it arises and passes away. You experience it. If I just observe that moment. They tell you get angry, breathe for 5 seconds. Why? Because it arises and passes away. But most of the time we react positively or negatively to any stimuli, external stimuli that comes. And then thereby end up either harming ourselves or hurting ourselves or reacting in a manner. If you just observe, and that's not to say become a vegetable, but if you just observe, you tend to focus better. And that is why Vipassana, what it sets it apart is you can apply it any given day, any given time, whatever you're doing. And people start realizing that this is creating, so corporates started realizing this is creating effective, not just employees, but leaders. Because if leaders are a little more calm, they're able to breathe, they're able to deal with challenges, they're able to focus. And then they get the answer. Governments started finding, especially in the prison system where Vipassana started coming in, they started finding that prisons became rarely a revolving door for criminals, where
recidivism.
Yeah, people kind of started realizing at their own level that this is what I did, and started trying to improve their lives. And that experiment was done way around the world, right from the Alabama state prisons to Tihar jail in India.
Your grandfather's involved in that with Kiran Bedi.
Yeah. And Dr. Bedi is a big follower of Vipassana as well. and so that came into practice. And now there are permanent centers in certain jails, like the R jail has a permanent ongoing Vipassana presence. Many other prisons, like I said, it went over. Oprah covered it in the Dhamma Brothers documentary, where it was about the experimentation with Vipassana in the Alabama State Prison, and it worked quite well because they saw their rates go down of people just coming back as a revolving door. So it's a simple technique. There's nothing physical to it. It's about sitting. It's about observing your breath, starting off with, and then they take you through more of the technique. There's no abstract imagination. There's no repeat the guru's name. There's no gurudom to it. It's you, yourself. If you're the cause of the problem, you're the solution of the problem. And you realize that yourself, which I found very liberating. Students, so, the third category is students. Universities, education institutes started finding that, hey, some of our students, when they do Vipassana meditation at a young age, they're a lot more centered. They're a lot less prone to being, when they observed it during exam times, they found students are a lot more calmer. They're able to not feel pressured as much. In fact, there's a couple of universities I know of in India. In certain programs, your admission is contingent on you completing a Vipassana course. So you're accepted into the university, and now you have to go attend a 10-day course and come. And once you do that, they'll accept you. And because the course doesn't cost anything to do, so the university doesn't have a problem telling you, go do it. It's not going to cost you. They'll put you up, they'll feed you. But we find our students come out better. So some real tangible benefits, and you're seeing world leaders starting to acknowledge that. One of the ones who recently did, in the last 2 years, you've seen Jack Dorsey really pick up, and he's been a big proponent of Vipassana. He came down, I think, to India also, and Sri Lanka and a couple of other places, and he's done a few courses. So the practice has grown. It's spread to I think almost 100 countries. 90 to 100 centers. It's growing. Even post his passing, Vipassana is still doing well. And that's because it was never about one person. He had a teacher just like, there are teachers now after him as well.